In today's economy, more people than ever are looking to buy and sell businesses. But how do you do it? Welcome to the Deal Board, presented by Transworld Business Advisors. Straight talk about real deals and real people. Listen to stories, interviews, and expert advice to help your business sale, merger, or acquisition process. Now, here are your business exit experts, Andy and JT.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to a great episode of the Deal Board. We are rolling right through 2026.
Already steamrolling. That's right.
And we had an opportunity to interview Jim Parker,
the new chairman of the IBBA, International Business Brokers Association.
Yeah, we get to talk about what's coming up this year and the conference, and it's a great conversation. So you should definitely stick around and listen to it.
People are going to love what Jim has to say. He's a staple in the industry. Great to see him in the IBBA role.
Yeah,
so
good friend of Transworld. Yeah. And of course, we have a listing of the week.
And a deal of the week.
So let's get right to it.
Transworld Business Advisors is the world's largest business brokerage and mergers and acquisitions firm with over 1,000 brokers and nearly 250 offices worldwide. Transworld's team handles thousands of business sales every year. To be connected with a qualified business broker or learn more about the buying and selling process, visit tworld.com or call 800-205-7605.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Another great episode of the Deal Board. And I am honored to have this year's chairman of the IBBA, the International Business Brokers Association here, Jim Parker, with me today from the Boss Group. But not only is he the IBBA chair, we have also both been IBBA chairs, and we've both been the chairman of Florida, right?
Yeah, Business Brokers of Florida.
Business Brokers of Florida. And so we're both in Florida and we work a lot together, which we're going to talk about later. But first, welcome.
Andy, I had to say, thank you. It's an honor to be on the podcast. So I really appreciate you having me here today.
Yeah, it's awesome. So, it's a great organization. IBBA has been around since the days of Tom West and some other folks.
1984, I believe.
1984.
Give or take a year.
Right. And so we've talked a lot about it, but, leading that organization is, again, a big responsibility. And I love it. It's all about education for the most part. I mean, we do a lot of advocacy as well. But, and you've been on the board now for how many years?
I guess this will be my 5th year coming up.
Yeah, because there's 2 3-year terms, right?
Correct.
So you kind of have to cycle into the chairmanship during that time.
Right. So I'm in my second year of my second term right now.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, Andy, we've got, just like we did with the Business Brokers of Florida, on the IBBA right now, the board is just amazing. We've got some really quality board members. I'm super, super excited, just very excited.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, so I didn't have that pleasure. It was a tumultuous time when I was chair of the IBBA. We were going through a lot, and we've come a long way in the industry. So let's talk about that a little bit, about where we are as an industry today. The IBBA is bigger than it's ever been, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've got over 3,000 members right now.
Yeah.
And I think we were down, coming out of the Great Recession, if I remember correctly, we were down to like 300 and some.
Yeah.
So 300 members, and now we're at 3,000, over 3,000.
Yeah.
The executive team has done an amazing job.
Yeah, I think before, when I was chair, we were hovering around the 2,000 mark. And I remember our biggest conference, we were almost at 1,000 people, maybe 900 people back in the day. So that, again, we've opened it up at the IBBA. They've done a great job of partnering with some of the local associations. So I think business brokerage it seems to be the hot industry all of a sudden.
Andy, what happened? Okay, I've been selling businesses for over 25 years. You're about the same amount of time period. Right. I felt like we rode under the radar.
We did.
For most of my career. And then in the last 4 or 5 years, it's just all of a sudden everybody's woken up and going, hey, this M&A business brokerage thing, look at this over here. And we've got so many people coming into the industry in so many different capacities, from support staff to intermediaries, whatever it is. We really got on the radar.
Yeah, I think what I was just about to mention, the influencers and the people out there kind of promoting. I think the entryway for a lot of these people has been the exit planning kind of thought process.
Right.
All of a sudden, everybody realized how many baby boomers there were that owned businesses, and now how many baby boomers need to leave and how many baby boomers need advice. And so they seem to have done a good job. Good shout out to Scott and everybody at EPI. They did a good job of kind of bringing that idea, exit planning, to the next level.
I agree. And, it's such a critical thing because like you said, you got this the baby boomer generation on the verge of retirement.
Right.
And, 41% of all small business owners right now in the United States were born before 1964.
Yeah.
So that's, how old is that right now? That's 62. So
yeah, I know.
We're Andy giving up too much information.
Yeah, so I'm 65. I'm the first Gen Xer or Gen Jones, whatever they call it. There's a lot out there. And yeah, the exit planning thing is big. And, even though we have a franchise now with one of our influencers, Jessica Fiakovich, who does a great job.
She does do a great job.
With Exit Factor. And so we're very proud of that as well. But it seems to be a hot thing. Looking at the numbers out there, which is kind of interesting where business brokerage is today, I think we've gotten a lot better at selling businesses quicker. Like there's not as much inventory as there used to be.
No. And I'll tell you, I feel like I'm interested to hear from you because, I'm a small company. We got 4 or 5 brokers and a support team. I mean, you got the largest franchise business brokerage association in the world. So I'd love to hear your input on this. But yeah, it just seems like the last couple of years, there are so many good quality buyers out there looking to buy businesses more than ever. But I think also maybe I'm selling more in that, $1 million to $3 million range. So I don't know if it's more of that or if I'm just more of an influx of buyers in general. But most of my offers are getting most of my listings are getting multiple offers.
Yeah, I think we're seeing that too. So the reason, again, I think that there's not as much inventory out there is because the marketplace has gotten way more efficient at selling businesses, i.e., you have a lot more access now, Biz by Sell, email, other platforms like maybe Axial or, people being able to connect with sellers and buyers more readily, and us being better at selling those businesses.
I want to say, Andy, I think that's it too. I agree with everything you said, but I think the business brokers themselves have gotten more sophisticated and better.
I'm laughing because I'm thinking back to the days when we first got in this business, 25 plus years ago. Some of the characters that were here back then, and not that they were bad people. It was just they were kind of like very set in their ways about how the process would work. And I think
maybe sometimes not work.
Yeah, and not work. And I think what we've seen is the whole thing get more professional, right?
And I remember, and we've talked about this before. I remember, and look, we were right. We owe the people that blazed the trails before us. We owe them so much. But I remember when I first got in this industry, going to buyer seller meetings, and the other broker being now we're in Florida, you got to keep that in mind. And this would happen all the time. Maybe I'm kind of stereotyping it across more than one person, but a Hawaiian shirt, buttoned, halfway down, gold chains, shorts, flip flops. And I just remember thinking, oh my goodness. And at that time, Transworld was wearing suits.
Yeah, we were.
So you guys really stood out in the marketplace because of that. I think that was very smart.
We tried to do that. And, again, I think the other thing that we've done well, and we could talk about Florida too, is that we've kind of standardized the process a little bit. I think a lot of people are trying to use kind of similar NDAs. People are trying to use similar, kind of processes for LOIs or even asset purchase agreements. There are a lot of the attorneys that some of the big attorney firms I know in Texas and here in Florida and a couple other places, some of the same attorneys are doing a lot of the work. Mm-hmm. So I think it's gotten a lot more efficient. And I think the world has noticed the SBA has gotten way more aggressive, or people realize that, they could get SBA funding for a lot more businesses. I mean, back when the money store was the only game in town.
Yeah. And the marketing companies, I don't know about you, but I get reached out to almost every day for a marketing company. We specialize in getting marketing leads for business brokers and and they're coming out of nowhere. And I know a lot of business brokers. Obviously, you know a lot of business brokers. I've never heard of these names, but they're all like, I'm specializing in that. And, just kind of everything we're seeing. There was another big one that I'm always seeing too, not just marketing. Technology companies
Yeah.
are reaching out too, trying to get into tech in our industry.
Yeah. Well, let's talk, we'll talk about the future, and then we'll talk about, I want to talk about co-brokerage because it's something that you and I understand pretty well and is still not really embraced in the industry. We can talk about it now. And I think it's partially, I think we're going to get there because of technology. Like technology is going to force us to co-broke on some level.
May be true. I mean, one of the things I'm seeing, Andy, is that since COVID, I think the walls have been ripped down. People are doing things more virtually now.
Yeah.
Brokers are selling businesses out of state.
Right.
They're selling, it's just everything is broken down. You're not doing closings that much in person, even though I had one today. It's the first closing I've had in person in about 6 years.
Wow.
It was kind of neat. But yeah, I think that, because of that, technology, because we're breaking down those walls, I think co-brokering might start to get a foothold with that.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's two sides to the co-brokerage idea. First of all, just to everyone listening out there, and Jim will back me up on this, Florida is such a unique place for sellers to sell their businesses because there's such access to the marketplace. There's such a fluid, I forget what it's called, but there's a velocity to the marketplace. Mm-hmm. Like if you put your business up for sale with a BBF broker and it goes on the MLS, which most of them do, you're going to have access to a whole ton of buyers, and the marketplace is going to look at your business and you're going to get multiple offers.
You're not just getting the buyers of that broker you hired. You're getting buyers of all the brokers across
and which
the state.
Makes sense. I mean, imagine if IBM woke up tomorrow and said, hey, if you want to buy IBM stock, you have to open up an account with Merrill Lynch. Yeah. I've used that before, and just think what would happen to the stock price and the velocity of that stock so I think, but at the same time, I think co-brokerage is becoming less important because the ability for buyers to source that deal has become way more direct to the brokers through portals like BizBuySell and Axial and databases that we can source the buyers, strategic buyers out there too.
And Andy, I kind of think that the world of residential real estate is changing because of everything that's been happening with NAR and stuff over the years. And I think that, with everything that's changing right now, things that you're mentioning, I think brokers that work with buyers a lot need to start showing, they need to approach from more of a white glove type of a scenario, if that makes sense. And they're going to have to dig a little bit deeper to make themselves stand out, I think, moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think the marketplace, there's still enough work. Let's put it that way. Like I'm not afraid of AI yet. I think AI is going to help us.
I'm excited about AI.
Right. Yeah. I think it's going to help us. I think it's going to make the market more fluid. I think business owners, I think what we did at the IBBA and the M&A Source and at, through BEEF, the Business Intermediary Education Foundation, we were able to get that law passed where we could sell portions of businesses. That process really hasn't been kind of mapped out or kind of built out yet. I think there's going to be a lot more small businesses that are able to sell equity in the marketplace.
Yep.
And I think there will be a trading floor where people will co-broke.
Andy, we've been talking about that for years, and I'm so excited because, I know that you really have this vision in your head of what that's going to look like. Or
I'm not sure I'll be around,
but I'd love to see that come to fruition. And when it does, I'm going to call you up. Yeah. Andy, you called it, buddy.
You called it, buddy.
Or I'm going to be like, Andy, you created it.
But listen, dude. So let's talk about the IBBA a little bit because that's what you're heading up, and let's talk about still getting together in person, still going to conferences, how important that is.
I think it's, gosh, Andy, I think it's extremely important. I got to tell you, the only problem I have with the IBBA is that I waited way too long to join the IBBA.
Right.
I feel like I was a pretty darn good business broker. I was a good business broker, obviously honest and ethical, at least, I hope my clients think that way. But I'll tell you, when I joined the IBBA, and not just joining and paying your dues, but I'm talking about getting active in the IBBA, getting to know people and networking with those people. My practice is just skyrocketed through the roof.
Right.
You know, and I mean, between the education, the class, and they have the best classes I've seen for business brokerage, all the workshops, the conferences, and that's all great, but it's the people too, and interacting with all those people. I mean, Andy, I can't say enough how much my practice has done so much better because of interacting with brokers from all over the world.
And it's having the connections. I mean, it's having the connections not only to other intermediaries. We could start there, like trying to get a deal done and being able to reach out to other intermediaries, whether they could even be a part of the transaction, which we've done. Yeah. We've partnered with other intermediaries over the years with deals and shared commissions. But on top of that, being able to just get knowledge, because everybody's so forthcoming with their knowledge.
My gosh, Andy, aren't they?
Yeah, it's great.
I mean, this industry kind of blows my mind out, because people are so willing to share their information and their ideas and teach other business brokers.
Right.
And I don't know if very many industries are like that. And look at this scenario. I have a closing, it's my first in-person closing in 5 or 6 years, and I'm 3.5 hours away, and I called up your guys' office and I said, hey, I'm not going to make a podcast I'm supposed to be on. Is there any way I could use your office? And you said, not only can you use our office, you can use our podcast studio. And you know what? Come on in and be on my podcast as well. And I'm like, look at this. What a great industry that we're in, that everybody just kind of, even though we're competitors,
right,
everybody kind of helps each other out, and we learn from each other.
Well, and
it makes the whole industry better.
Right. And I've said this before. I really think our competitor in this industry is the fact that people don't understand the value of using a business broker yet.
Right.
The business community doesn't get it yet. And really, we're not done building out the tool, the trading floor. We're getting there, and we're there in Florida more than anywhere else in the world as far as a trading floor. But I think, the IBBA, getting your education, going in person, and the other thing I wanted to bring up is meeting with the vendors.
Yes. I think a lot of people that go to the conferences, a lot of brokers that go to the conferences, they don't meet with the vendors. I mean, the more people you interact with and talk, that's the whole thing. You can't just pay your dues, show up at a conference, not talk to anybody. I mean, you'll get stuff out of that because of the courses and stuff. But the more you're going to get out of it is interacting with the vendors and talking to them. And, you might be thinking, I'm getting a sales pitch, but what? They're also educating you.
Right.
Not just on their company, but what their company does, which you never know what you'll pick up.
I mean, meeting with the banks, meeting with, being able to get a deal done, being able to call up the president of the bank, or being able to call up the, BDO, the person in charge of the loan, and getting this done because you have a personal relationship is so important. So I think the IBBA does all that, for us.
And I tell you what's nice too is like once in a while you're working on a deal, and we've both been doing this a long time, and no matter how long you've been doing it, there's no way to know everything about everything. And it's the ability to be like, well, you know what? I remember talking to so-and-so about this, and picking up the phone and calling that person, whether it's another broker, an SBA lender, an attorney, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the IBBA does really well. I mean, they're known for their education. That's what business brokers are always like. The education is great. The conferences are great. But I think one of the biggest things the IBBA does is it brings brokers together. And I think the brokers that pay the kind of money that needs to be paid to join the IBBA and take the time out to go to the conference, I think you're seeing some of the best business brokers at that conference. That's good for all of us.
Yeah, I've always said that. I said, if you want to meet the top brokers in the country, go to that conference.
Yeah. Because
they're the ones paying for it.
I'll tell you, Andy, I say it all the time, and I think people are sick of it, but, you go to these conferences, you don't want to just, eat dinner and go up to your room. You want to go to that hotel bar or go to a bar where people are hanging out, brokers are hanging out. I have learned as much sitting around a table having a beer with somebody as I have in the classes and the workshops, and the classes and the workshops are fantastic.
Right. So even with all the AI in the world and all this, the interaction of people together is still way more valuable than being able to ask AI or watch a YouTube video. But we're coming into a new age, where AI is helping us make this. What do you see in the future?
As far as AI goes, Andy, I see myself getting sleep. And what I mean by that is Saturday morning, I woke up at 7:30 in the morning. I didn't wake up. I started at 7:30 in the morning doing, and I'm going to embarrass myself, doing my first Zapier. You ever heard of Zapier? Which is an AI thing. I was doing my first Zap. And I worked on it until 4 o'clock in the morning, from 7:30 in the morning, and that morning till 4:30. So almost 24 hours. You know how many Zaps I got done? 0. But you know what? I learned a ton.
Right.
I learned a ton. Like I told my wife, I didn't accomplish anything in the last 20 hours, but I learned a lot. And I'm really excited about what AI is going to be able to do for us and return what's going to do for our buyers and what it's going to do for our sellers. Because most of the stuff like I'm working on in the back scenes, or I want to work on in the background, is stuff that the buyers and the sellers are not really going to see, especially the sellers, necessarily see firsthand, but it's going to make us more efficient and more effective. Right. And I think that's the important thing.
The one thing that I'm starting to see, and I think this is good, so there's a lot more young people.
Yes.
Just in our industry, and young people buying businesses. I mean, I guess it's because I'm getting older and everybody's younger than me, but and we used to be the young guys in this business. But it's encouraging to watch young people understand the value of buying a business. And I think what AI is going to do is make the process so companies, small little companies, can act like private equity and go out there and buy competitors and buy other industries to attach to their company and help them grow like the pros do it.
Right.
I think this is really AI and this whole industry is going to be brought to the people. And I think, we're seeing that. I mean, yes, you're working on $1 to $3 million deals or $1 to $10 million deals in that quote unquote lower middle market, or
upper Main Street.
What percentage right now do you think those people are individual buyers buying those businesses?
Oh, versus private equity?
Yeah.
When you start getting into businesses, obviously where, you're making $1 million over, I would say almost all of them are private equity, because at that situation, obviously you're
right
in a place where the private equity groups are always going to outbid the individual buyer. And the individual buyer, you're kind of most of them are going to be in the SBA loans. So they're kind of locked into getting over that 3.5.
Right.
Makes it a little bit hard to get an SBA 3.5 multiple, makes it a little hard to get get that SBA loan done. But that one to, let's say the business is selling for $750,000 to $1.5–2 million. I would still say, gosh, let me think back to this year. I would say probably 20% were PEs and 80% were individual buyers.
Right.
Like the one I closed on this morning, this was sold for $1.5 million. Now, this wasn't a private equity group, but this is kind of the buyer that you were just talking about. They have acquired they're a team of 2 guys, and they have raised some money, and they've acquired 4 or 5 lawn businesses in the last year.
Right.
And their objective is to get to a certain level and then turn it around and sell it to a private equity group at a much higher multiple. And they're very smart in what they're doing. They're going to do it. They already actually did it in a different space. Right now they're doing it in lawn and landscape, but they did it in another space. I think they did it in assisted living facility space.
I think there's going to be more of those people out there, and more people that are in business now. We just got an assignment for a really nice restaurant, and it's an amazing opportunity because it's been around for a long time. It's got an incredible location, and there are professional, and that's the other thing. Florida's grown up. We could talk about Florida a little bit.
Gosh. Yeah.
Florida's grown over the last 5 years, and it continues to grow. And there are now, back in the day when we were selling restaurants, we're going to sell it to someone who's immigrating or someone who's here, like an individual wants to go out on his own. These days, the bigger restaurants are being sold to groups, to professional companies that are running multiple brands.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we're excited about this deal we just got because it's probably going to be bought by a group.
That's interesting. And then that's great because then it'll blow up and, they'll pour money into it hopefully and blow it up and make it even a better better enterprise.
Yeah.
You know, I had to tell you, I'm going to go back to what you were saying. Another deal that I did earlier this year, that wasn't that big of a deal either. It was like 1.6 million.
Yeah.
And that was bought by a industry player that was backed by private equity. You know, so these national players and these PE groups, they're coming down.
Yeah, they are coming down.
They're coming down to the smaller places, and usually they're going to outbid the individual buyer
because there's so much money out there.
There is so
in
much
private
money
equity.
out there.
It's trillions of dollars.
There are so many buyers out there. If you're selling your business, you're thinking about selling your business, I'm telling you, there's a lot of buyers out there. But you know what you need to do, though, is you need to prepare your business for sale. So make sure you contact a Transworld agent and talk to them and say, hey, I'm thinking about selling my business in 2 or 3 years, and just pick their brain and make sure your business is sellable. So you're not only going to sell your business, but you're going to maximize the sales price and get the best terms possible. So I'm sorry, Andy.
Well, and listen, I think the good news out there for all the entrepreneurs in the world is that the business brokerage world has gotten way more professional over the last 25 years. And it's because of things like the IBBA. So let's, wrap this up
real quick. Can I say something real quick? Because you mentioned Florida. You mentioned Florida a few times, Andy. And I got to tell you, I think about this with Florida. Do you remember in the 1990s, like Seattle was like the big hot spot for grunge music? You know, you look at Florida. Florida is like the Seattle for business brokerage.
There you
you
go.
think about it, like that. Transworld. I mean, you guys started here.
Yes,
You're the largest business broker company in the world. You know, Pure Comp started here.
Right.
Didn't Murphy started here?
Murphy started here.
You could keep going on and on, but like co-brokering, we're the only state that co-brokes. Like so much stuff is born out of Florida, and I think it's kind of neat. And I'm going to tell you, I think that we've got some great brokers all over the world. But I think some of the best business brokers are right here in Florida. And I think that's because of co-brokering.
All you have to do is pull the list of chair people at the IBBA and see how many of them hailed from Florida. And out of 30 something, I bet there's at least a dozen.
10,
or
least,
more.
Yeah, I agree. Bet you there is.
So over 25% just came from Florida.
Me, you, Andy, Randy, Aaron. I mean, gosh, Lou.
Cress.
There's 2 Cresses.
Yeah, the 2 Cresses. Yeah. So there's been a bunch, and it's because, listen, it's in the co-brokerage model works out there, folks. And we're trying to build that at Transworld, and we do encourage everybody to co-broke, and we're seeing it more. And I think our influence has gotten to some other business brokers associations. You've been kind enough to go out there and speak, and so have I. We've actually landed a couple of times, New England business brokers. We talked about.
Yeah, we did New England. We did Carolinas. We did too.
Yeah, and we went up to Michigan recently and give it a little promotion. So there's a lot going on in the business brokerage world, and the IBBA is having their conference this year. Let's wrap it up.
Minneapolis, Minnesota, in May, and I wish I knew the dates off the top of my head.
We'll put it in the show notes, but it's going to be, it's not Memorial Day weekend. I think it's the weekend before that or something, or 2 weeks before that. But it's not Mother's Day again, so we know that. But it's going to be a great time of year to be up in Minneapolis. It's a great organization, and to all our folks out there in Florida listening, we do have a BBF conference this year. Oh yes,
in August, right?
In August, I'm
excited about that.
In West Palm Beach. And so all those vendors out there listening, you want to go to those 2 conferences and meet with business brokers, because I bet at the IBBA we'll have, hundreds of folks again. I mean, if not 1,000 again, right?
What, IBBA?
Yeah.
I think we'll be down a little bit from last year.
Yeah.
I think we'll probably have a little over 700 is what I would imagine.
Yeah. And hopefully in Florida we'll have another several hundred too. So
I'll tell you, if you're out there and you're thinking about selling your business, I think a question you should ask your business broker is, are you planning on going to the IBBA conference?
Yes.
Because I think that demonstrates how serious they are about the industry. And if you are a business broker, I'm telling you, if you have never gone to an IBBA conference, you got to go. And if you have gone and you haven't had a good experience, please reach out to me, and I'd love to talk to you, because I mean, I'm sold on those conferences.
Yeah. And you should have those 3 letters by your name too.
What the 3 letters?
CBI.
CBI. Yep. CBI. And even your MCBI.
Yes. And your MCBI, forgot about that.
Yeah.
Masters of Master
Certified business intermediary.
And, and then there's the M&A MI as well.
Yep. And then the CMAP.
Yep. For folks going to the M&A source, which is another great organization. So, Jim, congratulations on becoming.
Thank you, Andy.
And being a great friend to Transworld and being a great quote unquote competitor. I think we're all in this together. So,
Andy, thank you for being you.
No, I appreciate that. Thanks, man. And so we will see you out there, folks. And looking forward to the IBBA conference. So I'll see you there. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, Andy, do you know what time it is?
What time?
It's time for Deal of the Week.
Ring the bell.
Thanks, guys. I'm Chip with Transworld here in Central Florida, and I have Emily. We are going to be talking about a Deal of the Week.
Yes, sir. I'm excited to be here.
So you had a recent sale. It was one of those kind of cool ones for us. It was a bunch of seller financing. So kind of tell us what you had and what you got going on.
Absolutely. So it was a underground utilities company. The gentleman's been in business for about 45 years, the guy that owns it, and he's been working on the rig the whole time. He had a little bit of a rough run in 2024. He lost his foreman and he lost some family, and so it was tough. So the sales really declined that year. So getting SBI financing was just not going to be an option for this one. We found a buyer from out of state, younger guy that's really looking to kind of get into the industry. He did need some help and some guidance. So the seller on this one was willing to do seller financing and qualify the business for him as well, which was cool because with SBA, he wouldn't have been able to do that. So the seller took $200,000 at closing, and then he seller financed the rest of the transaction. The buyer actually paid $100,000 over asking to kind of encourage the seller to do the financing piece for him. And so we closed on that last Friday, and the seller is going to run the business for a month until the buyer can move down. And then the seller is going to start training him, and he's going to work underneath him for a couple of years until he can get licensed.
That is awesome. So that sold for how much?
$1.1 million.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So he ended up seller financing $900,000.
$900,000. Yep.
That's pretty amazing. And we were able to go ahead and work around the licensing issues, which is in our world is huge.
Well, yeah, because we did, I talked to some lenders about it, but they told us that it was going to be like 11 months was the maximum that he would have been able to qualify the business for. And the buyer wouldn't have been able to get his license in that amount of time.
So seller is going to train him and hang around for a while?
He is. He plans on staying for 2 to 3 years.
That's awesome.
I know. I'm excited. And he's excited too, because he didn't really have anybody to take over the business. So I think he's excited to mentor this younger gentleman and kind of bring him into the industry and help him succeed.
So he didn't have a family member to pass it on to. This kid was kind of the chosen one.
And they just kind of clicked when they started talking. It was all like I just sat kind of quietly on the phone and just listened to him. And it was almost like a dad and son having a conversation. And it was really kind of cute. So I'm excited to see what the business does for them.
That's awesome. How does somebody get a hold of you if they want to?
Oh, they can contact me at emilykrell@trold.com or 352-246-2266 is my cell.
That was great. And now back to you guys at the deal board.
Hey, JT, do you know what time it is?
Money time?
Almost. It's time for listing of the week.
Hey there, I'm JT Harp, right here in Greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, with Transworld Business Advisors. I see a lot of businesses come across my desk, and every so often, one really catches my eye. And this one here, it is a gem. It's a well-known, established roofing company with a long legacy of quality and true craftsmanship. They deliver strong, consistent profits with impressive seller's discretionary earnings that make it stand out in the exterior services space. They offer a full suite of services, including roofing, gutters, siding, and even custom sheet metal work. They have a skilled team on board. They have loyal clients from residential homes to big commercial jobs. Everything built and ready to go for steady work and continued growth. The operations are turnkey. The equipment is top-notch, and it is well-maintained, and they have a solid reputation of reliability that continues to be rock solid over the years. You can step right in with confidence, whether you're already in the roofing or exterior trades, or if you're a smart investor looking for a profitable, proven business model. I get genuinely excited about opportunities like this because they don't come around every day, and they can be life-changing for the right owner. Once again, I'm JT Harp, Transworld Business Advisors, right here in Greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky. Give my team and myself a call today, 513-725-7283, and we'll send over the executive summary and walk you through why this one really stands out.
Thanks for tuning in to the show today. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends on social media. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcasting app. If you have questions, would like to appear, or have suggestions for topics for the show, get in contact with us through our website, thedealboardpodcast.com.